Good morning, everyone. I am Shudipta Bera, an undergraduate at Adamas University. At the beginning, I would like to welcome our eminent guests, research scholars, my professors, to the prestigious event of ICMC-II, organized by the School of Media and Communication, Adamas University. I would like to give a little brief about the ICMC-II, International Conference of Media and Communication Research. Contribution towards Sustainable Development Goals on 29th and 30th January, organized by the School of Media and Communication, in collaboration with conference partners, Delhi Metropolitan Education Noida, Makhanlal Chaturvedi University Bhopal, Manipur University Imphal, American International University of Bangladesh Dhaka, and HSC University Moscow, Russia. Digital media partners EduGraph and Scopus Index Journal, Migration Letters. This year, the theme is the Sustainable Development Goals. The Sustainable Development Goals addresses the growing concern of environmental sustainability, social responsibility, and ethical considerations in the field of communication. Sustainable Development Goals and media communication research are interconnected in several ways. Media communication research plays an essential role in achieving sustainable development goals by raising awareness, monitoring progress, influencing policy, addressing misinformation and disinformation, and understanding local perspectiveness and context. Several goals are related to media and journalism as they emphasize the importance of freedom of expression, access to information, and the role of media in promoting sustainable development. The conference will explore the contribution and scope of media and communication research in achieving sustainable development goals. The conference themes are core themes and alternative themes. It also offers an opportunity for debates and discussion around different goals and interaction with media and communication, as well as future perspectives in research and development in the domain. Now, I would like to introduce our session moderator today, Ms. Ipsita Banerjee. She is an assistant professor at the School of Media and Communication, Adamas University, West Bengal. She is also a PhD scholar in the Department of Mass Communication, the University of Bardhaman. She had worked as a research assistant for ICSSR Impress Ministry of Education. So she has also worked as a supervisor in 2 research projects with the IIMC New Delhi. She has published 10 research papers in Scopus UGC Care Index Journal and presented over 15 research papers in the last 3 years. Now over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Shudipta, for the wonderful introduction. And before we proceed with the session forward, let me welcome our honorable chair for today's session, Professor Jaya Chakraborty, madam. So all the dear paper presenters and participants, you already know ma'am, but I must officially introduce ma'am to you all so that we mark the beginning of the session with ma'am's permission thereafter. So as you already perhaps know, and let me introduce ma'am a little further. So Professor Jaya Chakraborty, ma'am, is the professor and former head of the Department of Mass Communication and Journalism, Tejpur University, India. Her research interests include exploring the social and cultural implications of ICTs and e-governance projects in India. She is also interested in understanding how different forms of communication and media technologies impact the empowerment and participation of marginalized communities, including children and other vulnerable groups within development process. Dr. Chakraborty has coordinated various research projects in collaboration with UNICEF to advance the scope of C4D as a domain of academic training, research, and professional competence in India. She is also the coordinator of the first 2-year full-time MA in Mass Communication for Development, C4D, program being offered by Tejpur University. We welcome you, ma'am, officially as the session chair of today's session. We also have our co-session chair, Dr. Rajesh Das, sir, who is the in charge of the Department of Mass Communication, the University of Bardhaman. Unfortunately, sir is there in a meeting at his university with the finance team. So perhaps he may get a little late to join us, but he has wished all the best to all the participants. And sir said, even if he is not able to join. His best wishes are there with you all. And sir has also shared warm welcome and deep regards for Joya madam. So, ma'am, with your due permission, should we inaugurate the session? And it would be kind if you can share a few words regarding your feeling and your experience in this matter.
Thank you, Ipsita, for this warm welcome. And this is indeed nice because earlier also I had this opportunity of being in touch with and working with Adamas University. And at that time, I was talking about research methodology. And this time, I am here to listen to so many papers. And I really look forward to all the scholars who are presenting. I want to listen to them. And I would rather say that let the discussions begin, and we will have a more, I should say, informed discussion at the end of the session, because that will give me a better idea regarding the theme and the thought processes that the scholars are bringing forward. So
Absolutely.
I would say that without delay, let us start the session. And then I would also say that if there are occasions where I would want to intervene in between, maybe I would want to say something, then I would break in. But otherwise,
Sure.
we can have a overall discussion at the end of the presentations.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you so much. So let us begin with the paper presentations. So today, the theme of this session is health communication and gender studies. So I would request all the paper presenters to please be ready with your presentations, and we will call you one by one as per the schedule which was shared with you. So the first paper for today is a qualitative study on the awareness of online data privacy among female young adults in Kolkata by Devoshi Bhattacharya. Devoshi, sir, can you please start sharing the screen and start your presentation?
Madam, am I audible?
Yes, sir. You're audible and you're visible.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Madam, would you please confirm that whether my presentation is visible?
Yes, your presentation is visible,
Okay.
but now I can see the PDF if I'm not wrong. Please check if this, yeah, this is your presentation. You can
Okay.
start. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Deboshi Bhattacharya. I'm a research scholar in the School of Media and Communication, Adamas University, and I'm a faculty in the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, Rani Birla Girls College. It is very fortunate, and Adamas University has provided me an opportunity to deliver my deliberation on this following topic. The topic that I've worked on is a study on measuring the awareness of online privacy regarding cyber crimes among college and university students, females in Kolkata. First, I would like to give an overview of what my uh, area is on. Excuse me, what my area is on. Uh, Internet is growing rapidly, and so our dependence on it. With the aid of technology, we are using internet for almost every work, from building social relationships to marketing maneuvers, and from buying commodities online to booking appointments. In fact, schools and higher educational institutions have also grown dependent on the internet post COVID-19 era. However, with dependency, there comes another side of the coin, and that is the luring presence of the cyber criminals who are prying on the user's data, their online presence, thereby challenging their online privacy and existence. I have I have basically tried to work on this area. Now, the motivation behind my research, like why have I chosen this topic, and what has, why the females basically. The number of online privacy infringement issues have increased lately, especially targeting respondents with its varied patterns. The penetration is so deep that almost everyone on the internet has been a victim of it. The growth of cyber criminal activities, though, is often attributed for being one of the prime reasons of online data encroachments. However, other factors like surveillance mechanism is also a reality. The very essence of privacy has lost uh, from the online periphery as hackers loom over digital profiles of users who are not careful on the internet. Previous researches on this domain have concluded and highlighted about the increase in number of cyber crimes against women. We get the record from the National Crime Records Bureau, and the records confirm such claims, where 4,242 cyber criminal activities was reported in 2017, which grew to 10,405 in 2020. Again, in the a summit that took place in the previous year, the cybercrime against women, where it was discussed about the rise of cyber criminal activities against women. The main reasons that were cited were a lack of digital literacy, excessive use of social media for sharing personal information, and lack of awareness. The existence of cyber crimes mostly targeted against women were like deep fakes, morphing, pornography, and these have added to a relatively new area of online hazard. And that is when perpetrators try to steal information from educational institutions to the likes of digital records of students, teachers, employees, parents, valued researchers, and even patent information. The research methodology, I have used a mixed method where relevant literatures have been considered for finding out any pattern regarding online data infringement, and the snowball technique has been considered for asking 15 close-ended questions to the 53 female respondents from different colleges and universities of Kolkata. Google Form has been used as the primary tool in this regard. The questions were framed in reference to the data from the NCRB and the relevant literatures on the field. The research questions that were framed was on what are the different motivations behind occurrence of cyber criminal activities. Now, this is primarily being framed keeping in mind about why perpetrators spy on users' online data. What do they are? What happens to such huge metadata collected online? It has been framed on the regard because various literatures often highlight this point that data is valuable. Like one per KB of data before COVID-19, the cost was around $4. But after COVID-19, the cost has risen to $400. The next question was, what should be the necessary guidelines for averting data breach on the internet? Though the governments across the world with the service providers are trying hard to ensure online safety and necessary privacy. However, even after this, data theft are reported from across the globe. In this regard, it is necessary for the users to understand that the safety on the internet is a healthy practice, and adhering to it would serve as a preventive force in this regard. There are two objectives of the research. The researcher aimed to understand about the awareness, knowledge, and existing attitude of the female college students from Kolkata regarding online presence and privacy. The researcher wanted to study and find any relevant pattern, if any, regarding the encroachment of online privacy by systematically choosing and reviewing the opposite literatures. The theoretical framework or the assumptions that I have taken is the functionalism approach, because it has been considered while approaching with the research, because people mostly relate to the manifest functions of the internet, where they use the new media for the different needs and gratifications. Mostly active, however, passive choice is also reported. What lies hidden are its manifold dysfunctions. However, even after repeated warnings, awareness programs, and knowledge, the users still refrain from adhering to the safety protocols on the internet. So, is this the narcotizing dysfunction of the internet? However, this requires further analysis, insightful studies, and future research to come to a conclusion on this. Uh, Now, what are the survey results and the analysis? Um, the age of the respondents for the survey varied from 18 years to 25 years and are both undergraduate and the postgraduate students from different disciplines like journalism and mass communication, animation and media technology, graphics, sociology, and communicative English. The respondents are primarily from Muralidhar Girls College, Lady Brabourne College, Rani Birla Girls College, Alia University, University of Calcutta, and Adamas University. Uh, the very first question that was asked was in which social media they are mostly active in. It was because the respondents were asked about this, specifically because social media are considered to be the breeding ground of opinion assemblages. And often governments spy on their online presence, which is a serious threat to infringement of online privacy. 94.3% of the respondents said that they actively use WhatsApp. 92.5% they said they use Instagram. 58.5% use Facebook. 56.6% use Pinterest, and 20.8% use Twitter. However, there was an option of Coup, but none of the respondents said that they are on Coup or they use Coup. The researcher also wanted to understand whether the respondents are aware whether their social media accounts are hacked or not, because awareness is the key. And only by remaining updated, and aware, the present challenges can be addressed efficiently. To the question asked, 71.1% answered with no, 15.1% answered yes, and 13.1% answered they do not know. Now, the data reflects a positive approach, at least to the fact that the respondents are able to identify about the issue. However, the 13.1% of the respondents who gave a neutral response requires further investigation as to understand whether they're really unaware or are not bothered about their online security. In relation to the previous question, the respondents were asked about different types of cyber criminal activities that are existence, so that the researcher wanted to know that whether they're aware of it. Okay, so social media are often targeted with cyber criminal activities, and the victims often fall prey to the perpetrators because of their ignorance and unawareness. It was noted that a staggering 96.2% responded positively, stating that they are aware. This reflects about their growing consciousness, which is a good sign, I think. Crime against women are not new and have been in existence since time immemorial. Only its form and pattern have changed over the years.
Devoshi sir, the
Yes.
first 9 minutes 30 seconds are over. So we would
Okay.
request you to wrap it in the next
Right.
2 minutes so that we
Okay.
can go for the question answer round.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, ma'am. Okay. So, basically, it is like, people. There is a rise in the growing consciousness among the students, but there are certain students who have reported that they are not at all concerned, okay, about the online safety. But we need to be concerned here because, we cannot be laggards in this regard. Being laggard will only be detrimental to our online safety. So I can conclude, like I have concluded like this, like Online safety, I will go to the conclusion. Online privacy is a modern day threat, and that must be dealt with importance. Strategically, with proper planning, the users can be made educated about the risk factors on the internet, as a lack of attitude and casual approach, that the users poses might prove detrimental in this challenging time. So the users must also be encouraged to be aware of other online hazards and must respond carefully to these issues. Even if after being agile and careful, their online presence is infringed by cyber criminals, they must always come forward and take legal actions so that such future online assaults can be prevented. There is no shame in being a victim, and therefore, together with positive attitude, we can try to make the internet a better place. uh,
Thank you so much, sir. It was a wonderful presentation. Joya ma'am, I have a question to you. Should we take questions from the participants now, or should we take it at the last once all the presentations are over?
I believe it will be better if we take at the end.
Okay,
Let us
ma'am.
finish with the presentations, and we can ask the others to note down their questions and keep it ready.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. So, dear participants, please note down your questions and keep it ready. We will ask you about your questions at the end. Now, I would request the next presenters to please start their presentation on exploring the influence of wellness apps on college students' well-being by Rajeshwari N and Dr. Vensena J. So, sir and ma'am, please start your presentation.
Yeah. Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible and your screen is also visible.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Good morning, everyone. So our topic of today's paper presentation is all about exploring the influence of wellness application on college students' well-being. So let us go ahead and talk about the introduction of this particular paper. Basically, when you're talking about wellness, it is plays a significant role in our day-to-day life. And basically, this paper deals with how wellness app can help college students to raise a good health and well-being, and it actually focuses on the sustainable goal development. That is three good health and well-being. So basically this research is all about looking into the diversity of wellness application, the pattern, the usage pattern, and motivational factor, as well as the barrier which impacts the physical health of college students. So the research objectives, as I have mentioned, it tries to explore the diversity in the wellness application, the motivational factors, how it impacts, and also the satisfactory level of college students related to a wide variety of diverse wellness application which are available. So background information, a lot of research has been already done, which is related to health application in college students. So they have come up with a conclusion like it actually changes their eating habits and also the way they are carrying out their life. And also people, no, the college students try to prefer more free application rather than going ahead with the premier application which is available, and that too the third party application out there in order to track their wellness. So and also another study which has been done which says there is a significant decline in the physical activity of the college students, and also that it actually impacts the academic outcomes. So basically based on the previous study which has been done, we have just identified few research gap, and one of the research gap is to study about the effectiveness of health and fitness application in promoting physical activity among college students. So theoretical framework which supports the study, it's a health belief model and theory of planned behavior. So this is the research design. Basically, we have taken the sample from 18 to 20 age group of college students. Why exactly we have taken 18 to 20? Because they're tech savvy and also they're independent. Apart from that, they can make their own decision, and that is the transitional phase from school to college. And also, it is a target group for a lot of web developers out there. And when you're talking about the independent variable, that is a wellness application usage, and the dependent variable, that is all about the physical health outcome, behavioral change, and the satisfaction level. We have taken the convenience sampling because we just wanted to know like who exactly uses that application and go ahead and study them. And basically, we have just taken up the qualitative interview method where we have just taken the sample of the people who are using no, the wellness application in order to incorporate in their physical activity and all. And after collecting the data, we have done a thematic analysis of manual where we have taken the tabular column of the transcripts and also identified the pattern and also have come up with the conclusion. So these are the key finding. They have when you're talking with the college students, they have wide variety of application usage that they are using wellness application. That includes My Fitness, Nike Run, and lose a weight in 30 days application and all. And the motivational factor, which actually tells them that go ahead and use it and implement it in your physical activities, all about goal setting, progress tracking, and also they get reward, it seems, from that particular application once you complete one task. And apart from that, their health as well actually motivated them in order to use a physical application, wellness application in order to come up, to impact their physical wellness. Apart from that, when they are started using the physical, this wellness application, the physical health, it actually impacts them positively, overall transformation and wellness. That is what they have mentioned. Apart from that, the drawback, or we can say the barrier which stops them, is all about the inconsistency. They might have the app in their mobile phone, but they might not use it, or they might have the laziness or inconsistency in their life, which is a kind of barrier which they are facing. And the data sharing and all, they kind of share it with health professionals when they have a kind of any kind of problem that they can tend to share the data with them. Apart from the alternative to the wellness application which they are using, they have like home remedies and gym activities along with the usage of wellness application out there. So conclusion is all about they have the significant role in that influences the college students which to take up the wellness application, and also a lot of personalized approaches which are inbuilt in the application out there. And also the motivational factor, as I have mentioned, it's all about goal setting, rewards, and also their health, which actually motivates them to go ahead and take up the wellness application. And ultimately it impacts them positively when they start doing a pattern, when they have a schedule, what to do, when to drink water, when to walk, and what exactly should we do. It impacts them, according to them, it impacts them positively. And apart from that, as I have mentioned, the barrier is all about the inconsistency and the laziness which they have, which can be overcome when they start using the wellness application. So this particular research is just done for a short time. It's not a long-term research because of the time constraint. The future research which can be implemented is all about the long-time impact of usage of a particular application. It is just to identify the lot of application and how they are using and the motivational factors. But in future, this can be done. And apart from that, in order to know about the interaction, human interaction with the wellness application or the smartwatches, which is like a latest trend which people are using it in order to track their day-to-day activity. And apart from that, one of the main issue which is surrounded by in today's society is all about the privacy concern. So even the privacy concern along with wellness app can be studied in future.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for a very short and precise presentation. With permission, Joya, ma'am, can we move on to the next presenter?
Yes, sure.
Okay,
Thank you so much, ma'am.
thank you. So the next presenter is Srirup sorry, it's Sripurna Burman, and the title of the paper is "Should We Breathe on Indian Media's Climate Advocacy?" So, ma'am, are you there? Yes. So, you can please start your presentation. Thank you.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible. But, ma'am, yes, you are also visible. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, all dignitaries. So, my research paper is on analyzing the impact of Indian media's climate advocacy on public awareness and policy perception, a comprehensive study. And the study regarding should we breathe on India's media's climate advocacy? This is my basic introduction where I belong. So my name is Sripurna Burman. I am a research scholar from Jadavpur University, and my department is Adult Continuing Education and Extension. In introduction, I have written that climate change is one of our most significant global challenges with far-reaching implications for ecosystems, economies, and societies. As the impacts of climate change become increasingly apparent, the role of media in shaping public perception and influencing policy responses has gained prominence. This research seeks to investigate the specific case of Indian media's climate advocacy and its effect on both public awareness and policy perception. And the background is the media as a powerful dissemination of information has potential to be the catalyst for change for fostering the awareness, advocacy on critical issues such as climate change. In the Indian context, the media outlets play a crucial role in framing narratives, disseminating information, and shaping public discourse. As the primary source of news and information for a large segment for the population, the media's role in advocating for climate actions become paramount. Against this backdrop, there is need to scrutinize and understand the extent which Indian media encourages with the prompts of climate advocacy. This involves not only assessing the quantity of climate-related coverage, but also delving into the quality, the framing, and the impact of media's discourse. The statement of the problem is understanding the dynamics between Indian media and public awareness. The policy perception in context of climate change is crucial for developing targeted strategies to address environmental challenges. The study will contribute valuable insights to academia, media practitioners, policymakers, and environmental activists. My basics, aims, and objectives of this research paper are assess the extent to which Indian media addresses climate change and related environmental issues, examine the impact of media coverage on public awareness and policy perception, investigate the role of shaping public attitudes toward environmental policies and sustainable process, and analyze the correlation between media advocacy and the policy discussions on climate change on the national and regional level. Basic purpose of this study is evaluate Indian media's role on climate advocacy, assess the impact of public awareness, examine public policy perception, identify the challenges and the limitations where the opportunities can be shown, provide recommendation for improvement. Basic research methodology. The study employs qualitative analysis to provide holistic understanding for influence of Indian media on climate advocacy and policy perception. Content analysis of prominent media outlets will be conducted to gauge public attitudes, knowledge levels, and perceptions of climate-related issues. The analysis will examine the framing and tone and the frequency of the climate change coverage, identifying the key themes and the narratives. This study will employ to categorize media content, allowing for a nuanced understanding how climate change issues are presented in media. Theoretical framework, agenda setting theory, framing theory, and spiral of silence theory is associated with my study, and I have found so many things in regarding agenda setting, framing theory, and spiral of silence. Gaps in existing literature, in depth of the specific content and framing strategies used by Indian media in climate change coverage, examining the relationship between media advocacy and policy perceptions, outcomes in the context of Indian media's socio-economic landscape, identification of gaps and challenges in existing media strategies, their impact on public to understand the policy and the development, exploring the role of digital media platforms and the social media in influencing climate change narratives and public engagement. After the literature review, the research questions needs to be discussed. How comprehensively does Indian media cover climate change and related to environmental issues? To what extent media coverage influence public awareness and understand the climate change? What is the role of media in shaping public attitudes towards environmental policies and sustainable practices? How does advocacy correlates the policy of discussions on climate change in national and regional level? Media landscapes in India. India boasts an dynamic media landscape comprehending traditional forms such as newspaper, television, radio, and alongside a rapidly growing digital media ecosystem. With numerous languages, cultures, and perspectives, the Indian media plays a pivotal role in shaping public discourse and influencing societal attitudes. Understanding the interrelation of this media landscape is fundamental and analyzing the impact of climate advocacy. Impact on policy perception, how media outlets portray discussions, research aims to understand the influence of media advocacy on public's perception of the government initiatives. It delves into the framing and the communication strategies employed by the media, assessing their impact on policy narratives and the public support for environmental measures. What the challenges and opportunities for media policy? The challenges inherent in the relationship between media advocacy and policy outcomes. Identifying obstacles such as misinformations, political influences, fake news, public sentiment can contribute to a nuanced understanding of complexities among the masses. For the constructive collaboration between media and the policymakers can inform strategies to enhance the positive impact of the media advocacy and the environmental policy perception and implementation. Factors influencing public perceptions, media content, socio-economic factors, educational backgrounds, and cultural contexts all play a role in shaping individual regarding climate change. These factors are crucial for understanding the nuances of the public attitudes, providing foundation of the effective of climate communication strategies that resonate the diverse segments of on policy perception. Challenges in communicating climate change. Effectively communicating climate change is fraught with challenges, from overcoming misinformation to addressing cognitive barriers. Challenges may include media sensitization and politicization of climate discourse and the difficulty in conveying long-term consequences. By pinpointing these challenges, the research contributes to developing strategies that changes the effectiveness of media advocacy, ensuring a more informed and engaged more public on climate change. Limitations of this study was the dynamic nature of climate discourse with evolving narratives. The events may challenge the study of temporal relevance. Dependence on self-data or survey may introduce response bias and affect reliability of the findings. The evolving media landscape may render findings less applicable for overtime. Potential limitations in the availability and quality of data for a comprehensive analysis. Ethical consideration in interpreting media influence, balancing the need for advocacy with the responsible is the responsible for the journalism. Inability to account for individual differences in media consumption habits and the levels of engagement. So the basic recommendations were to amplify the impact of Indian media's climate advocacy. It is imperative to strengthen communication strategies, facilitating more robust collaboration between media and policymakers is crucial for bridging the gap between public awareness and policy formulation. Media outlets should...
Sripurna ma'am, ma'am, your first 10 minutes are over. So we would request you to please wrap your presentation in the next 1 minute.
Okay. Media outlets should invest in training their journalists and on climate and science and communication techniques to improve the quality of and accuracy of reporting. Collaborative initiatives between media organizations, environmental experts, and educational institutions can also help to create more informed about climate change or regarding any environmental issues. And the conclusion is ultimately it sheds lights on the vital role of media in informating climate actions in India by understanding the strengths and the limitations of Indian media in climate advocacy. This research contributes to a broader discourse on effective climate communication strategies and the media's vital role in combating climate change globally. This study also questions the role of forests in climate change. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So, with due permission of Joya, ma'am, we are moving on to the next presenter. The next presentation is going to be given by Doyle Doctor. The presentation is on representation and empowerment, exploring of the rights of the dwarfs on social media through hashtag-based activism. So, Doyle, ma'am, please start your presentation.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you're audible and you're visible.
Okay. Just 1 minute.
Okay. Doel ma'am, are you trying to share your screen?
Yes, ma'am, I'm trying to share my screen.
Uh,
There is a technical issue. I'm
okay,
just
so
trying.
okay, so in that case, should we move to the next presenter and should we give you time sometimes later? Or will you like to share your PPT with us so that we can share the screen? Okay,
I
it's yes, yes,
it's
yes.
I think it's resolved.
Your screen is now visible.
Visible, ma'am?
Yes, yes, it's visible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. My paper is on representation and empowerment, exploring the rights and challenges of the dwarfs on social media through hashtag based activism carried out by little influencers. By little influencers, I mean the influencers who belong to the little people community. Basically, this paper is about the challenges faced by the dwarfs, which are usually not addressed. When we talk of inclusivity, this section of the society is the one which not always get the due attention. Basic introduction is we are moving towards a better world. We are talking about inclusivity, or we are talking about equality, or we are talking about equal opportunities. We are trying our best. Many steps are being taken. Many awareness programs are being carried, but this particular community is still far away from our attention. They hardly get mentions when we talk about inclusivity and equality and equal rights. There are certain reviews which I found some literatures. It was actually difficult to find literatures about the dwarfs. Still, I could manage to get 10. Here I have given 5. Basically, the gist of the literature review is since the ancient time till 21st century, the challenges they face are almost very similar, and the difficulties, the social attitude towards them is still not changed. Though many steps are being taken, uh, gradually some changes are coming. Still, they are somehow ignored. People are not understanding what they actually need. Their needs are not completely met, be it educational need, be it social recognition, be it health need. Their needs are somehow ignored, and they are not getting the attention, the respect, the recognition they deserve in our society. Though we call it an inclusive one. And the core objectives of the paper is to analyze the renditions of the icons of the little people community. By this, I mean the social media influencers who themselves are dwarfs, to study the representation of the challenges faced by the little people on social media through hashtags dedicated to them, or to study the impact of the representations of the reactions of the common peoples, the netizens, through the study of the reactions and comments, and to attempt to understand whether social media can be a support for the little people community to voice their views and to talk about their struggles. A content analysis method was followed. The analysis was mainly semantic. Six most popular influencers were selected, and their posts from last 3 years were examined. Seven most popular hashtags were examined, and reactions of the followers too was examined. The popular hashtags here are dwarfism awareness. It has 21K posts. Little people 118K post, dwarfism that is 30K post, short stature that is 2.2K post, height doesn't matter that is 3K post, short and strong 1.1K post, and a little person 20K post. Now, dwarfism awareness, dwarfism, little person, these are about their struggles, and they're trying to spread awareness that they are no less. Uh, Dwarfism doesn't mean physical incapability or mental weakness. And the other, like short stature, height doesn't matter. These are somehow generic. Sometimes many other people who don't belong to that community also use these hashtags, but mainly when these hashtags are used by the influencers who belong to that particular community, are about their activities, their likings, dislikings, their opinions. Somehow they're trying to claim that we are also normal. Please don't isolate us. That is what they're trying to claim. Now, here are the main influencers who are the icons of the dwarf community. First is Tera Jol. She is a television personality, and she became popular after her show Little Woman. She talks about the challenges the members of their community faces every day, and she's carrying an activism through her blogs. Then Brad William, he's a stand-up comedian. He is not that much aggressive as Tera Joel. He is comedian. Sarcastically, he talks about the challenges and the attitude of people towards him, and he tries to bridge the gap between the normal people and the people of short stature. Jomini Dancer is a dancer who tries to claim that height actually doesn't matter. She is a very good dancer, and she has huge followings, fan followings. And her posts are mainly about dance, about fashion, about beauty. So she is trying to, you know, redefine the standards of beauty. Andrew Mostigo is also another comedian. He is also a digital creator. He doesn't play this short stature card directly, but indirectly he is trying to claim that he is capable of everything. And this is where he uses this word that height doesn't matter. Frankfurt is a community. Many people of short height together built up this community. They're into yoga, they're into music, they're into dance, they're into painting, they're into everything. They are just trying to spread this awareness that they can capable of doing everything. And Casimiri is a fashion icon, and she is actually followed by many netizens and Gen Z. She's an icon of Gen Z of United States, and people are crazy about her, and she is very experimental about her looks and her attires. So her fan number of her fans is increasing day by day. So when I went for a thorough analysis, what I found is that little people community is now coming forward to fight for their own rights. Till now, they depended on others. Others talked about them, but now they are coming forward and they are talking about themselves. And they're keeping no stone unturned to break all the prejudices and stereotypes about them. And short height is not a weakness. That is what the message they're trying to give. And reaction suggests that people are also positive about them. People are accepting them, and gradually the mindset is changing.
Thank you so much, Doyle ma'am, for the wonderful presentation. And with due permission of Joya ma'am, can we move on to the next presenter? Doyle ma'am, can you please stop screen sharing so that we can move on to the next presentation? So the next.
Still, we have a long way to go. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much, Doyle ma'am. Ma'am, can you please stop screen sharing so that we can allow the other participants? Thank you so much. So the next participant is Ritam Bhattacharya, and the paper is on health communication through community radio in West Bengal. Ritam, sir, you there in the meeting? Uh,
Yes.
yes, please start your presentation.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Am I audible and visible?
Yes, you are audible and visible.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So the topic that I'm going to discuss today is the health communication and community radio. Health communication through community radio in West Bengal. Okay. Can you see the screen is as well? Can you give me a feedback
Yes,
for
your
that?
presentation is also visible.
Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, so the first slide is on defining sustainable development, and I really don't want to get into the details of it because it has been discussed uh, in the span of 2 days in this conference in detailed manner. So when we talk about the sustainable development goals, we will focus on the third goal of sustainable development, and that is good health and well-being. So here are some of the statistics of public health in India right now. So as we can see, the infant mortality rate between 2020 and 21 is 35 per thousand birth, and tobacco is tobacco addiction is one of the major problems in public health sector in India, as you can see from the statistics. So here are some of the other statistics regarding public health. And when we talk about the public health problems in West Bengal, that is the time when we have to talk about the public health problems regarding dengue in West Bengal. As you can see, it is in a constant rise from that statistics. And uh, here are the cases of malaria. Although initially malaria was a massive problem in West Bengal as well as in India, right now it is currently under some check. However, there are some taboos regarding women's health issues. So, when we talk about women's health issues, Indian Women's Health Report 2021, which surveyed 2,000 working women aged between 25 to 55 across cities, that has revealed that about one or more health issues due to uh, uh, prevalent societal taboo and stigmas associated with them. The study has been conducted by MQ Pharmaceuticals Association with uh, IPSOS Research Private Limited to gain insights on social, cultural, and medical outlook for working women and eventually find solutions involving various stakeholders. So, from this study, as you can see, there are certain stigmas that are associated with women's health and discussing on women's health. Now, we will get into the business end of the study, which is defining health communication. Just like any other form of communication, health communication has also its barriers. You need to form its strategies in order to disseminate information about health to the people. Now, when we talk about public health, poverty and public health are quite closely related. Vinod Bihari Jana and Manoj Kumar Raul in the EPW, Economic and Political Weekly, they had discussed in an article published on 2020 that India spends about 4% of its GDP on healthcare needs, including both private and public spending. But the share of public spending is still low at 1.2% of GDP, which is lowest among the BRICS nations. Due to the low level of public spending, nearly 2/3 of the total health expenditure is in form of out-of-pocket spending, which is about 90% of the private spending. That is based on the WHO's record in 2010. As a result of it, as this out-of-pocket spending, households are being forced to sacrifice their basic needs, selling household assets, getting into the debt, and become more impoverished. Estimates show that 2 to 3% population is being pushed below the poverty line in India every year. According to the latest World Bank report, reports on 2015, nearly 50 crore people in India are pushed below the poverty line. Now, how is poverty and health are correlated and kind of interdependent? That is being reflected in Sally Murray's article that was published in Canadian Medical Association Journal, That article suggests that poverty also leads to increased dangers of health, of working environment, of poorer people, often hold more environmental risk for illness and disability. Other environmental factors, such as lack of access to clean water, uh, affect poor families. Over 40% of the world's population do not have basic sanitation programs, and more than 1 billion people still use unsafe sources of drinking water. However, it has to be noted that it was based on the a 2011 article. Now, as we can understand from the previous slide, that poverty and public health are kind of interrelated and it depends on one another. Now, when we define community radio, that is another variable of our study, that is community radio. Among different definitions that are given on community radio, one of the most important definitions is given by AMARC in 1998. That defines community radio should cater the needs of the community that they are serving. It should be a voice for voiceless, mouthpiece of the oppressed section of the society. There should be three essential features of community radio, and those are: it should be a non-profit organization, and community should have its ownership, and it should act as a tool for development. Now, in this case, community ownership is quite important. I will discuss it in detail when we talk about the community radios in the context of India. We will discuss it in detail that how whether India has got community ownership on community radios or not. Now, so far as the community, now what makes it a community radio? Now, Pressure and Ipsita has described that they had emphasized on 2 points. First one is the enthusiastic consensus of people of the community and willingness of cooperative work. Now, they have said that the communities needs to understand its communication needs, and after understanding that communication needs, they should try to come up with a consensus. Now, the community should analyze the problem with the rational mind, and they should understand, after discussing it, they should understand why they are still lagging behind. Now, what forms a community? Well, community can be formed on the basis of various factors like geographical boundaries, and it can be formed with a woman or youth of a particular area. So, community is basically formed when a group of people that comes together and focuses on a common character or interest. Now, here are the list of community radios that is there in West Bengal. There are over 11 community radios. Now, out of these 11 community radios, 5 of them, their parent organizations are NGOs, and whereas the 6 community radios that are there, and those 6 community radios parent organizations are educational institutes. As you can see from this graph clearly that there is no community ownership. Savita Vailur in an article written in Economic and Political Daily, she has mentioned that India, because of the policies in India, there is no community ownership in community radio. We will discuss it in details later. Now, when we talk about the contents of community radio, Nityananda Janamani is really working hard on this particular issue. We have discussed 6 community radio stations contents who have a dedicated segment for health communication. Rest of the community radio stations in West Bengal doesn't have a dedicated segment that is there for addressing public health issues. Nityananda Janamani focuses on narrowcasting as well as broadcasting. It has got its Facebook and WhatsApp group for program updates. Even they, okay, we have to mention this, that Nityananda Janamani is a community radio station from Purulia. Well, they started a trend of talking about pregnancy health issues and how to take care of the newborn through various podcasts and interviews of health experts. Now, they focus on the health and vaccination of the child and etc. Even they involve the people, the mothers of tribal community, the women from tribal community into these programs. Also, they have a dedicated segment that is known as Janashastrar Katha. That is an interview of various doctors that are there to discuss about various diseases and their cures. In Polli Bangla FM radio, which is there in a place called Moyna, there we can also see there is a program called Shastrar Katha. Okay, now from here you will see some of the similarities of the program. Retar Vidyasagar, which is a community radio station of Vidyasagar University, it also has got a program called Shastrar Katha. Radio JU 90.8 FM, which is the community radio station of Jadavpur University. They have also a program called Esho Bhalo Thaki, and YFM, which also has got which is the community radio station of NSHM, Knowledge Campus. They have a program called Hello Doctor. Now, all these programs, they focus on the interviews of the doctor. There will be a host who will be going to the chambers of the doctor, and they will discuss on various health issues. And when they will discuss the various health issues, there is a significant lack of audience feedback in those programs that you have understand from the programs that are there. Now, in this entire research, in this qualitative research, we have focused on how effective their method of communication is while talking about the health. So the general trend that I have found is the lack of audience participation that we have discussed before. Then there is one-way communication. It is a one-way kind of communication process. Also, apart from Nityananda Janamani, there is a lack of programs that is dedicated to related to the issues of women's health. Also, there are no particular segment that discusses about the mental health issues of individuals. Also, there is...
Sir, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Your first 10 minutes are over. We will...
Okay. I'm wrapping this up. Okay. Yeah. So, also, no proper records are mentioned about their reach. In the Community Radio Compendium 2023, for an example, Radio JU has said that they have almost a reach of 10 lakh people. But when I, in my interview with the program manager, Lucky Boni, she has mentioned that we don't have a record. I don't know how the Community Radio Compendium came up with a particular record. Now, while talking about it, there are some of the issues that are related to community radios in India, which are for financial sustainability. They do not have a particular, they are heavily reliant on the grants and on the parent organization. Also, as we have mentioned before, there is no community radio ownership. There is no community ownership on community radios, and also there are some of the issues on community radio regarding the policies that are there by the government. We don't have enough time to discuss on those issues, so we have just touched. I'm just mentioning it right now. So here it is. This is my presentation here. Because of the lack of time, I could not actually focus on some of the issues. But thanks Adamas University for giving me the privilege to present my paper here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for a wonderful presentation. And with due permission from Joya ma'am, we are moving on to the next presenter. So, Bira Curie ma'am, are you here in this meeting? If you're here, please respond. Otherwise, we will move on to the next participant. Bira Curie ma'am, are you there? Okay, so I'll try to get in touch with her. So we are moving on to the next participant, who is Neelam Nanda Prabhat. So this paper is going to be jointly presented by Neelam Nanda Prabhat and Professor Dr. Pooja Rana. And this research paper is on effectiveness of advertising campaigns in women's empowerment with the relevance of women-centric schemes. So, Neelam ma'am, I hope you are there in this meeting. So, uh, please start. Okay, so Bira Curie ma'am has joined in the meantime. So ma'am, please wait for a moment. Let Neelam Nanda ma'am present her presentation, and then we will move on to your presentation. So Neelam ma'am, you can start your presentation.
Okay, thank you, ma'am, for this opportunity. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You're
Okay.
audible and you are visible.
Okay, ma'am. I'm just presenting my. I hope I'm visible and I'm audible too. I'm so sorry for the glitch.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
You're audible. You are visible, and we
Okay.
can also see your presentation.
Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone, all the distinguished people sitting here and the people who are the participants. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'll thank Adamas University for that. So I'll start with my presentation. Okay, so the topic of my presentation is the effectiveness of advertising campaigns in women empowerment with the relevance of women-centric schemes. I am Neelamnata Prabhat and I'm doing PhD from Amity University, Mysore, and my under the supervision of Professor Dr. Pooja Rana ma'am. So these are the table of the contents. I'll start with the introduction, research objectives, hypothesis, research methodology, and then the conclusion part. So the introduction says that there are been an influence of advertising campaigns that promotes a women empowerment. The same can be applicable for the promotion and spreading awareness of the women-centric schemes through advertisements. Women empowerment and upliftment of women's status is always a topic of discussion. The government, NGO, and media have the responsibility to work for the women's status in every economy. Advertisement campaigns play an important role in discrimination of information of policies and schemes. So I have segregated the women-centric schemes of 2015, 2021 in education, health, and safety. So these are the schemes I have focused on my research paper, which is Delhi Lati scheme, Surakshit Matra Ashvasan Yojana, Mahila Shakti Kendra, Ujjwala Yojana, One Stop Center Scheme, Sakhi, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, Mission Indradhanush, and Janani Shri Suraksha Karyakram. And these information I gathered from the National Commission for Women and Ministry of the Women and Child Development. Apart from them, these are my objectives. My first objective says to identify the communication promotional strategies for dissemination of women-centric government schemes. The second objective is to examine the relationship between the promotional strategies of women-centric government schemes and comprehension level of beneficiaries. And these are my hypotheses. First says the promotional strategies of government are effective for the dissemination of women-centric government schemes. Promotional strategies of government are ineffective for the dissemination of women-centric government schemes. There is a correlation between the promotional strategies of women-centric government schemes and comprehension level of beneficiaries. There is no correlation between the government promotional strategies of women-centric government schemes and comparison comprehension level of beneficiaries. My research design, I have taken a qualitative tool and the data was collected from the convenience and snowball sampling technique with 400 respondents. Apart from that, I have taken the primary data from the survey itself, and the survey was conducted in the residence of Delhi. Apart from that, the secondary data I collected from the website of NCW, National Commission for Women, and Ministry of Women and Child Development. So the first objective was to identify the government and promotional strategies for the dissemination of women-centric schemes. So here I have taken the data which says that various promotional activities, advertisement and PR and commercials are ineffective in raising the public awareness. The second statement says that the main aim behind the launching of women-centric schemes campaigns to mobilize and inform public, the government executes these policies to achieve benefits for the targeted beneficiaries. Then the third, I'm so sorry. It says in the digital era, there are countless ways for dissemination information to the public. By above data, we can infer that apart from the media platform, the government can explore from the volunteers, dispensaries, camps, and workshops and other media as well. Apart from that, the second objective, which was to examine the relationship between the promotional strategies of women-centric government schemes and comprehension level of beneficiaries. The above data says that audience these days are mindfulness. Advertisers can create advertisements to create sexual awareness amongst youth. Social advertisement and social campaigns are effective and are not total wastage of money. In addition to the social advertisement and social marketing campaigns, they can take the society at large in a serious level, and people of the society, they also take the advertisement in a very serious note. Then it says that it's good to have a social coverage of the women-centric schemes to have authenticity of the information. Campaigns have positive impact on the audience. People have raised their voice after watching the campaigns. Apart from that, the social and cultural status of the audience also affect the framing of the advertisement campaign and its dissemination pattern. The last of the reading, it says that the campaign of women-centric schemes have appealing music, slogans, and content. The storyline is relevant and informative to the women issues. Celebrity associations and social media coverage of the schemes campaigns increase the awareness and authenticity of the message. Campaigns many times motivate public to raise their voice against the exploitation and the women atrocities. I have segregated the data and I have done my hypothesis testing from the chi-square test, and the hypothesis communication promotional strategies of government and women-centric schemes are independent. This implies that the two factors, promotional strategies of government and women-centric schemes, are not independent, which means that they have a correlation between them. The second hypothesis, promotional strategies of women-centric government schemes and comprehension level of are independent. This implies that the two factors, promotional strategies of women-centric schemes and comprehension level of beneficiaries, are not independent, and they have a correlation between them. So I'll straight away come to the conclusion part. So after the analysis of the data and talking to the people, I just got these conclusion which says the government or the creator of the content needs to change its communication and promotional strategies for the awareness of women-centric schemes. In digital era, there are countless ways to dissemination information to the public. Creator of the campaign, apart from media platform, they can explore volunteers, dispensaries, camps, workshops, and other media as well. Advertiser can design advertisement to create sexual awareness among youth as well. Social advertisement and social marketing campaigns are effective, and it's not total score of time, money, and resources. Campaigns have positive impact on the audience and motivate to raise their voice against women atrocities. The social and the cultural status of audience also affects the content acceptance related to the women-centric schemes. The last is the main aim of the launching of women-centric schemes campaigns to mobilize and inform the public. The government executes these policies to achieve benefits of their target audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this wonderful presentation. It was really precise. And now we will move on to the next participant. The next participant is Ma'am, are you there? Veera Curie, ma'am. So, yes, ma'am is here. So, ma'am, you can start with your presentation. Am I audible to you? Okay, so Veera Curie, ma'am is going to present on role of media in empowering women. Uh, ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
ma'am. Good morning to all the dignitaries who are there, and I'm happy to share some of my research findings. And mostly, I prepared this presentation on the basis of secondary data, and my topic of presentation is on role of media in empowering women, impact of advertising on government schemes on empowerment of women. So I have read about some of the government schemes which are there, which our government has been at campaigning on, and looked up about which all advertisements, like which all schemes are really good for women and they are empowering women. And basically, I'll start with the introduction where we have something like when you look at sustainable development goals. Can you hear me,
Ma'am,
ma'am?
sorry to interrupt you, but you have
Yeah,
sent me a PPT. Do you want me to
yeah.
share? Should I share screen for
If
your
you can,
PPT?
please. If you can,
Yeah,
let's.
sure.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank
I'll
you. Thank you, ma'am. And basically, this I'm looking at what all the recent schemes which government has introduced for empowering women. And if you look at UN, UN has taken up some challenges, challenging idea of having some sustainable development goals to preserve our resources for future generations. And keeping this in view, I have looked into what our government has done. I will directly go to impact of media on women first, and then come to the point. And if you look at impact of media on women, basically, whenever we think about impact of media projects, whatever comes out, mostly it depends on how women are projected in the media. Sometimes we are typically stereotyped, and sometimes women are portrayed as something different and who can do anything. But when so media presentation accounts to a lot for empowerment of women to a great extent. And coming to the implementation of government schemes, we have taken up the recent schemes about which we have a lot of campaigning going on. The first thing which I'm going to talk about is about Beti Padhao and Beti Bachao scheme. Beti Padhao and Bachao scheme. And this was basically taken up because of the decline of trend of decline in the child sex ratio, and which is defined as the number of girls per thousand of boys between 0 to 6 years. And yeah, right now in around it has there has been a decline from 945 in 1991 to 927 in 2001, and again 919 in very recently. And so, hello. And the child sex ratio has been declining a lot, because of which the government has taken up this initiative to empower women and at least protect women. And basically the objective, the government has started this with an objective to prevent any kind of gender bias, sex selective elimination, and ensuring survival and protection of the girl child, and also ensuring education and participation of girl child. So I have looked at the child sex ratio in most of the states, and it is it's not very good to look at that ratio, because we often see the girl child are eliminated even in the fetus itself. But when this government has embarked on this kind of program like a Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, at least it would have some impact on. It had some impact on the people who are watching those advertisements, may it be TV or in the form of posters, and it has efficiently, as per the secondary data which was available, I came to the understanding that it has benefited in bringing down the CSR ratio to some extent. Though I cannot say that it has shown a lot of difference, but at least to some extent it has shown a decline in that ratio. And still, we need to make further assessments regarding utilization of funds for these schemes also. When there are more than 50%, and when you look at this Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao scheme, we have seen that the newspapers have reported that more than 50% of the funds were utilized just for advertising through mass media. So we must also take care that the scheme really it goes a majority of it should also go to, when we spend the funds, we have to spend it for the scheme itself rather than just for advertising. And we should follow all different ways of advertising to bring that costs down. And further, I have looked into another scheme called One Stop Center and Universalization of Women Helpline, which is a Ministry of Women and Child Development has initiated these two schemes from the Nirbhaya Fund. And the one-stop centers are popularly known as Shakti centers, and they are designed to assist women affected by violence. So, police has been there is it is an this kind of service is an integrated service under one roof, like police facilitation, providing medical aid and providing some legal aid, and even counseling and psychosocial counseling, and even temporary shelter. But when I look it into the publicizing part of this scheme, this is not the advertising is not to that extent that people are not much aware of this scheme. And an amount of somewhere around 11 1,102.49 lakhs were sanctioned to all the 33 states for establishment of these one-stop centers in 2015 and 16. And in 16 and 17 also, around 3,555.87 lakhs were siphoned into this program, this scheme. But very few, the reported cases where people really utilize this scheme are very limited. And there were other problems. People were like, if you look into the newspapers, I have seen that the facilities provided were not that really comfortable for people to live there. And therefore, these one-stop centers, they are not that much successful, even though there was advertising. But I think advertisement plays a real great role in people getting to know what schemes they do really have to, and when to utilize them. So the advertisement part is to a lesser extent in this scheme. And similarly, there was the Swadhar Ghar scheme, which is implemented as a centrally sponsored scheme from women who are victims of difficult circumstances and in need of institutional support for rehabilitation. And here also, the people are provided this Swadhar Grah was planned to set up in every district with capacity of 30 women, and where they can cater to primary need of shelter, food, where people like women who were subjected to violence, they can have some shelter, treatment, care, and also some counseling so that they can gain their emotional strength, and even to provide legal aid and guidance to those people who are in distress. And the number of beneficiaries under this scheme for 2015 and 16 and 16 and 17 and 17 and 18, I have written in the paper. And mostly in 15 and 16, there were around 14,378, while in in 17 and 18, they were around 17,298. Definitely, when we look into the number of victims and the amount of the number of beneficiaries, there is a vast difference we can find in that. And ultimately, I have taken one more scheme, which is Ujjwala scheme, and where this scheme tries to prevent prevention of trafficking and for rescue, rehabilitation, and reintegration and repatriation of victims of trafficking for commercial sexual exploitation. And this Ujjwala scheme also has a big budget, around some 30. But then, similar like all other schemes, this Ujjwala scheme also doesn't seem to have been advertisement to that extent. So, like when there was a parliamentary question, our Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, he has stated that our government has spent around 6,491.56 crore on advertisements in print and electronic media since the present BJP party has come into power in 2014. And we have seen that when there is a wider publicity, more women or girl children benefited, that led to their empowerment. And women empowerment is ultimately a goal of sustainable development. And even there is some other scheme which I did not mention, that where Sukanya Samruddhi Yojana, that is also something widely publicized. So I definitely feel, concluding this, I felt that advertisement has played a great role in publicizing any government schemes. And most of the time, people are not aware of many of these schemes. So we need to take those schemes to people, either through the print media or this media or broadcasting, or we still have to we have to still follow the olden means of taking it to community level through local volunteers or some volunteers, so that people should the ultimate aim of these schemes is benefiting of people, a large number of people. So not we should not just depend on the media, print and mass communication, but we have to go through the people representatives also, so that advertising goes to a greater extent, even with limited resources. And with this, I come to the conclusion that empowerment is important, and we need a wider publicity for all the schemes which are meant for empowering women. And government should also spend budgets judiciously on advertising and try to find more innovative ways, so that more budget could be utilized in giving benefit to women and girl children. And with this, I end this presentation, and I am thankful for you to provide this time for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for
Hello,
this
ma'am.
presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now we will move on
Thank
to
you.
the session chair, madam. So Professor Jaya Chakraborty, ma'am, all the paper presenters have presented their paper. Ma'am, we don't have any questions in the chat box as of now. So if any participant wants to ask any question to other participants, or the student participants who are here, please you can unmute yourself and ask questions, and then we will move on to ma'am for her feedback on the papers. Participants, is there anything that you would like to ask?
I would really encourage that the other participants should pose some questions, because there were also certain papers which were similar in their queries. They were at least in terms of the platforms they are looking at, or in terms of the segment of the population that they were referring to. So if there are cross questions, it will be very encouraging.
Absolutely. Participants, please do ask your questions. Ma'am is also encouraging you all to ask questions. Please ask some questions.
It might also be just a statement, even if not a question, just an observation.
Please ask some questions or please share your views. Please.
Okay. I don't. I think we don't have comments from participants. Well, let me say, very interesting array of papers. I don't know if I'm wrong in assuming that some of the papers relate to the area of PhD work that you are doing. I'm just making this assumption that because many of you have mentioned that you are pursuing your PhD work, and maybe this is something which is a component of your PhD work, or maybe it's towards the end, so you have also presented a summary of that. So in that, I would say that it's a very, very interesting area of work. The questions being asked or the questions being raised by the different papers are indeed very pertinent and very interesting. So if I may just go through one by one, the first paper by Debajyoti Bhattacharya was on with regard to awareness about online privacy and cybercrime. Very interesting work because that's an emerging issue that many of us are facing. You have done this study with college students, that too specifically women. Maybe you are concerned about the differential levels of digital literacy among the women. A very interesting segment of population in this respect, I would say, are also the elderly, because if we are to look at the level of digital literacy, the elderly also comprise a very vulnerable segment, and in terms of their digital literacy levels, that would be something very interesting to understand. And given the specific context of India, where many of us are on the digital platform with partial understanding of that particular platform, either we have been forced to be there or we are there out of our own free will. So, and from a theoretical context of media literacy or information literacy, digital literacy, so these are all theoretical perspectives from which we can look at it. We can also look at it from a perspective of technology acceptance model. So, obviously, in a seminar, I understand that it's very difficult to put all of that together that you might have been thinking. But these were the thoughts which came to my mind as I was listening to your paper. And I really felt that it's a very, very interesting work, and we can, there is a lot to explore. A similar statement, I would say, in terms of the wellness apps, again, a study done amongst college students. I believe it's done in West Bengal. So another very interesting feature, we are there all concerned about health, and after COVID, it's a phenomena that we are all very concerned about. Many of us have started actively engaging with the wellness apps. Another aspect of digital literacy, that how much of misinformation also sometimes gets to us with these different apps and the different wellness videos that we keep on seeing. A very, very interesting area of work. And if you are planning to take this forward, the work that you have cited in terms of how it helps us understand about the idea of what is wellness. We are also negotiating a lot in terms of the issue of mental health nowadays. That's a very interesting area again, because that's a issue that we usually go to social media for, because we look for solutions on the social media because there is a lot of restriction to talk to people about it. So we are not willing to share. There is so much of stigma associated with issues of mental health. So people seek help from social media or from online solutions out of that. Again, thoughts that came to my mind as I was listening to your paper. Very interesting work by Madam Rajeshwari. Impact of Indian media's in climate advocacy. Again, very interesting. What I felt was that this paper is more based on secondary literature, because towards the end I could not see primary data. So it was more probably in terms of understanding that theoretically the premises that media can play a very strong policy advocacy as well as awareness role in terms of creating understanding and knowledge about climate change and climate advocacy. So I understood it more as a secondary literature paper. Please correct me if I'm wrong in my observation. Then exploring the rights of the dwarfs. Very interesting work by Doel Dotto on social media. I thought it as a paper which was concentrating on cases from USA, 2 female only. Questions coming to my mind with regard to, are there...
If I may speak on this, it is US based, but not only about women.
No, I saw there were 2 female like pages that we are referring to, where 2 of them were female, rest were men, right?
No, ma'am. 3 men, 3 females.
3 men. Okay. So I would have wanted to know what's the situation in India.
Actually, ma'am, as far as dwarfism is concerned, not many work has been done in India. So India is still lagging behind. US is very advanced in this respect. I tried to find some data about India also, but I could not, unfortunately, because India is still unfortunately lagging very behind.
Okay, yeah. So that's because probably here comes the question that we are, when we are looking at the dwarfs in India, probably the level of social economic inclusion that's there is also very less. And
yes, ma'am.
That probably is the reason as to why their presence in digital media is also so very minimal. So maybe this is an area where a primary research and more empirical data can add a lot of value to it. So if it's a initial stage of work, I would say that you can explore the possibility of looking at some people in India who work in this field. So, but as such, it's a very novel idea and very, very interesting one. So thank you for sharing your thoughts on that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Then health communication through community radio. I understand the scholar was trying to problematize the policy context of community radio in India and trying to look at that how much of community ownership is there when it comes to community radio. But that's one thing that as far as community radio research in India is concerned, we would have to, yes, probably towards the end of it, we can raise questions because there are also ongoing debates with regard to the policy corrections which are required, because an NGO-owned radio is not actually a community-owned radio, but you must be aware that the original policy did not even have that provision. So it's one step forward that now at least we have NGOs which have the experience of having worked with communities are allowed to apply for community radio license, and the government is also giving licenses to such organizations. So as far as the level of participation, so one theoretical framework that is needed, even though you are looking at just health communication, is the perspective of participation, the degree of participation. because when we are talking about community radio, we actually draw from participatory theories. So that's a thought which came to my mind, that rather than just looking from a policy criticism perspective, a little bit of participatory theoretical perspective as to what it means for actual participation of the community, and then probably evaluating the community radios with regard to the degree of participation that they are able to foster, is something which came to my mind in terms of the theoretical focus that probably your work can have. So again, another interesting work, and probably I would say a mostly unexplored area in terms of the role of community radio in health. I know of very few other work which is happening in that way, but still the participatory theoretical framework is something that probably would add more value in addition to just measuring the awareness and the policy criticism that you are doing, which is also very meaningful because it's also
Ma'am,
happening.
can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, ma'am, actually, I thought of including the aspect of participatory communication into this paper, but actually, I didn't get enough time to discuss about this entire thing. Actually, I thought about it. So, yeah, kind of in
Once
the
you
end, kind of made a bit of a hodgepodge of this paper actually because of the time constraint. I'm sorry, ma'am, actually.
oh, great. Work is interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, and the next one, effectiveness of advertising campaign on women's empowerment with the relevance of women-centric schemes. This paper and the by Neelam Nanda Prabhat, and the last paper that we heard from Madam Bira Curie, somewhat similar in terms of the questions being raised, but obviously very, very different in terms of the execution. So very interesting mix because we rarely try to see the impact that it's having in terms of the empowerment of women, because if we stop at awareness and advertising creating awareness, that's one way of looking at it. But then when we get into the ideas of as to how it is affecting me, the woman as an individual, and how it is affecting my understanding of my locus standi in the society, my understanding of how it allows me to do certain action, which is actually empowerment, my sense of ability, my sense of agency. So whether advertisements can ultimately bring about that change, because being aware about certain aspects of a particular scheme is one level. It's just knowing that, yes, if I have to file a complaint, do I go there or do I go there? It's functional. It's also very important. I'm not negating the importance of that. But when you ask questions about empowerment, which both of you have been doing, one more through secondary literature, one through primary data, and the quantitative analysis to that, which was very to the point and very specific. So, and the questions that you have raised, and as I say, in terms of the agency of the woman, does it actually bring about an attitudinal change amongst people when you are exposed to this sort of advertisement campaigns? And what is the inherent intention of the government? Is the intention of the government through these advertisements just to give that functional awareness, or it is about a more attitudinal change amongst women? So I would probably also look a little forward and see someone doing some content analysis of these advertisements also, in terms of the intentions which are there in these ads. So very interesting work, as I say. Yeah, you want to say something, Neelam, please?
Hello, ma'am, and thank you so much for appreciating the work. Actually, for the qualitative, I have done. For the quantitative, I have interviewed some agency people, also advertisement agency people, for the center and creative point of view as well. But if see the schemes and the campaigns, they are all for the senders and receivers. So I have taken this survey from the receiver end. So I'll be encountering with the creator and the sender as well, because this is the communication process and the communication model. So I have already taken the interviews and I'm in the process of but some of the time constraint was there, so I was unable to incorporate the interview and the content which they have said in their interviews, and how they have, creating the content for these schemes, and what are the problems they face, the social, economic, and the political aspects of the people. And I have seen a panchayat series also where the word bawasi has created so much controversy in a village area. You know? So yes, I have done that, but sorry to say, but in this presentation, it was very small presentation. I could not incorporate that, but definitely in my thesis, I rightly said that yes, this paper was related to the PhD project only. So yes, in the PhD, definitely I'll quote the quantitative data as well. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for appreciating. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. Very interesting work. And with that bit added to this research, it will really be very nice. So thanks to Adamas University, organizers of this seminar, for giving me this opportunity to be part of this experience. My best wishes to all the presenters here to carry forward their interesting work that they are doing. And I look forward to probably meeting you again in some academic forum, and where we get to again exchange our thoughts, and best wishes. So that's my say on all the papers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was an absolute honor for us to listen to you. Since I'm also doing my PhD in health communication, it was really, all these research papers were really enriching, and your point of view, your take on those papers have really helped me to understand a lot of aspects in health communication. Thank you so much, ma'am. And I would really like to thank all the participants, all the paper presenters, as well as the student participants who were there with us. We would have had felt better if you could have posted a few questions, but we can understand that perhaps you are also feeling overwhelmed like me, and you were just engrossed into the discussion part. And special thanks to Shudipta, our student coordinator, for this session, for being there with us throughout. And thank you to all these students. Special thanks to Professor Jaya Chakraborty, ma'am, for accepting our invitation, for being there with us, and for sharing your lovely insights. And we look forward to having you in next conferences as well, ma'am. And please do be there with us.
Thanks,
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. It was my pleasure as well to spend this time in a very meaningful manner with you. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And thanks to all the participants. Wish to see you all at the valedictory session. And we will again meet you someday, somewhere again in the next conference. Thank you so much. So with this, we end the conference session here, and we will again meet on the valedictory session. Thank you.